Welcome in, guys. Be with you in just a minute.
All right, so I think we got Ryan settled in.
Your mic and camera is live, by the way.
All right. The Opal likes to switch away from the microphone to the laptop mic a lot. So.
Yeah. On his end?
Yeah.
Is he not using a USB connected mic? He should be. I'll get him one if he doesn't have one.
I have no idea. USB mics suck anyways.
Yeah, they do. They're pretty bad.
Over time, they create the buzz and hum, and then they just aren't as studio quality as an XLR connection mic is.
You guys know the routine. We'll be up at 6 minutes after. You don't need to see that shit.
Man, you are taking all kinds of little dings.
Dirty line.
Yeah.
Let's get Facebook running.
Hang tight 1 sec.
All right, Facebook is up and running, guys. You can watch us over there. And I'm going to go ahead and put the NRA deal up. Guys, we need your help over at National Rifle Association, okay? It's $35. I'm pleading with you to help us over there. We need help at the National Rifle Association. If you're not a member, please join. It's $35, guys. If you're watching on your devices, you can click this link right here, right there. That's live. That link is live. You can go there and you can join us, okay? It's $35 with your discount. Get a cool hat, all kinds of fun stuff, and you are a member of the National Rifle Association immediately, okay? Help us over there. Very, 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 very important. Guys, I was going to rip some guitar for you here a little bit ago. My plan was to play some blues for you, but kind of didn't work out that way from a time standpoint. So, but I will. We'll connect early one day. We got a podcast coming up real soon, getting ready to drop. When it does, you'll be the first to know watching the show. I'm going to leave this link up. Guys, please visit the link. Parkland Father Ryan Petty coming up with us today on Garbage Day at the Ranch. We'll see you in about 3 minutes. Let's do this.
is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association from the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Platinum microphone.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's Garbage Day at the Ranch. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense begins right now here in the 6 Hour Studios on the Patriot Mobile Platinum and Powerful microphone. Welcome to all of our new affiliates who are jumping into the mix with us today that just started the program today. We love you guys. You know who you are. Big shout out to you coming up later. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing? Always fun to have new affiliates, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to hear the list grow.
Yeah, the list is going to grow, too, again, come next month and the month after and the month after and the month after. I can promise you that. Just a little birdie just told me that. I might know a guy, you know what I'm saying?
Might know a guy, huh?
I might know a guy. Greg, we're on. We're on. Oh, no, it's going to be one of those days. I feel it coming. Here come the giggles. All right, man. Greg in Dallas at the mothership. We are on Facebook right now live, facebook.com/Armed American Radio. I'll let you tell everybody else where to go to get it live and participate in the chat and all that good fun stuff. Then we'll go to our guest, Parkland Father Ryan Petty, here on a garbage day, hot garbage day at the ranch. But it is summertime. Go for it, Greg.
Hot garbage. How about that? If you want to watch the show, you can head over to YouTube and Rumble and search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters over there. On X, it's at AAR Mark. If you want to join our live chat, download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Yeah, that'll do it. You know, before I go to Ryan, Greg, the story with Adamiak, the young kid in jail for the ATF shenanigans. Shenanigans. I looked up the post today from Lee. It popped up on my screen on my notifications today. He is pumping over 150,000 views on that already.
It's important to people.
This story is getting legs like crazy. So all I can do at this point is hope and pray to God that somebody in the DOJ, Bondi or Patel and Trump, is looking at this and going to do something about this.
It may only take as much as a representative out of, I think he's out of Florida, right?
Yeah. I think so.
It might take
I think he's in a Jersey prison.
Oh, okay. Well, it may just take a representative reaching out to the DOJ and saying, "Hey, take a look at this."
I hope it gets done because it needs to, but it is getting some legs. Ladies and gentlemen, if you follow Lee the Gunwriter Williams on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, make sure to repost that. It's getting some huge legs over there, ladies and gentlemen, and this kid needs a pardon. That's at this point his hope. His appeals are not gone yet. But he doesn't need appeals. At the very least, he needs a commutation of his sentence and the rest of it to go away on its own, or he needs a complete full pardon. And that's what should happen. And I'm feeling good about this. Ryan Petty, Parkland Father, welcome in. Good friend of the program. How you doing today, my brother? Did you get everything done today? You were shooting on the home range, teaching some kids how to shoot, I think, today. That's always good.
Absolutely, Mark. Great to be here. But I love, one of my favorite things to do is to teach the next generation how to shoot, and the love of firearms, love of the Second Amendment. Just finished with about 20 young women. These are young women that are in the congregation that I'm in. They came out to learn handgun safety. They learned how to shoot handguns and rifles. And oh my gosh, I don't think you want to meet any of them in a dark alley at 100 yards because they are accurate.
Wow. What was the age group?
12 to 18, roughly.
Perfect. Did any of them say, how many was their first time shooting? Do you know?
Most of them have shot. I live in a red state in a red county, so many of them are familiar with firearms, and many of them are quite comfortable with firearms. Right. But this is an opportunity for them to practice. But there were 3 or 4 that this was the first time shooting, and couldn't be more proud of them stepping up. You know, that first time it's going to go bang, gets a little scary, sometimes a little tense, but they all stepped up and did it, Mark. And boy, what can you say?
What were they shooting?
This generation.
What did you have in the hands from 12 to 18? What were they shooting?
We had everything from 22 handgun, silenced even. Boy, talking that's the Hollywood. That's what Hollywood believes all guns silenced sound like, is the 22 silenced. Yeah.
Movie fake news, right?
A couple of 9mm handguns. Let them shoot my Glock 17, Glock 19.
Okay, got the full size
I
gun
had
there
a-
in the mid size, yeah.
I've got we had a couple of AR-15s, a CZ Scorpion, and it was just, it was amazing. So they just all stepped up and did it. Even the big loud one that goes boom, they were okay with that.
So how many said after the lessons today in the training session, how many said, that sucked, Mr. Ryan, I never want to do that again?
That would be, let me count them up. 0.
Okay. And that's what usually happens.
Yeah. Look, it's contagious. Shooting is contagious, and I think when they get a chance to go out there and you know what does it for them every time, Mark? I've got some steel targets set up, and when they hit the target and they hear that ding, they're hooked. They're absolutely hooked.
Yeah. So it goes ding, ding. Oh, I'm sorry. It goes ding, ding. Depending.
Yeah, I think you were right the first time. But my goodness,
you're moving up, it's
they
ding.
absolutely love it.
Oh,
Absolutely
it is.
love it.
It's
happens.
encouraging, and they've got great instruction. Guys, it's so important if you have kids. And here's the deal. When it comes, I've told this story multiple times, and I can never not tell it. I can never tell it enough. Let me put it that way. I have a neighbor, great guy, wanted some advice on a gun, Ryan. And I asked him my kids grew up with his kids, just from the time they were 1 and 3 and 4 and 6, I believe. And now, lots of guns at my house, right? Lots of guns at my house. No guns in his house. And I said, what are you teaching your kids about real gun safety? Are you teaching your kids safety about firearms? And he said in his L.A. accent, around here, L.A. is Lower Alabama. And he said, man, I ain't got no guns in the house, man. I really haven't had to worry about that. I said, okay. I have tons of guns in my house, and your kids are over here all the time. Bob across the street, Phil across the street, Janet across the street, and kids all over the place that they go to school with. Their parents have guns in the house. Why are you not teaching them something? So in other words, when that kid pulls out a gun, if it ever happens, your kids are going to be as curious as the day is long. Instead of doing what they should be doing, stop, don't touch, leave the area, tell an adult, because they've never been taught. They have to be taught. And ladies and gentlemen, take that away from this conversation. Shooting is a tremendous amount of fun. Only you know when your kids are mature enough to shoot. You know that. My kids were mature enough right around 6 and 8 years old, Ryan, and I knew that. We took them shooting. My daughter, she could take it or leave it. My son loves it, okay? Still take him out all the time. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 in September. But isn't that just solid advice, brother? Isn't that just great advice?
Absolutely. And I remember my father, we had firearms in the house. He used to hunt. I remember when he would trust me enough to handle the firearm, first unloaded, just to get familiar with it. He'd walk me through how it functions and how it operates. And, sometimes he'd tell me about the history of it. Where did he get it? What sacrifices did he make to buy a firearm? Because back in the day when my father was growing up, sometimes you had to choose between good things, right? So anyway, he would do that. And I just remember that feeling of him trusting me with that firearm, and I never wanted to break that trust. So I always listened to what he said. I always had respect for the dangers that they pose, but also the great safety that they provide. And I always felt comfortable and confident that my father knew how to protect us at home, and that if he had to, he would not only use the firearm, but he was willing to give his life for us. And I love my father. I miss him. But that was my introduction to firearms. And if I can pass that on to that next generation, again, these are not my kids, but I appreciate the moms and dads that trusted me enough to teach them a class today, talk about the 4 rules of firearm safety, take them out to the range, show them how a gun functions. We didn't have any malfunctions today.
Well, actually,
an
not kind
opportunity
of,
is-
you want that. Sometimes you want that. You want to be able to teach the kids that. I have to say this because I know we're getting ready to take a break. You said they're not my kids. Aren't they all our kids? I mean, it does take a village. And I started thinking about it, and I started laughing in my, right, oh, geez.
Don't go there.
I'm not going there. When we come back, I do want to ask you about the first gun you shot. I'll tell you what mine was when we come back. It was with my grandpa when I was about 6 years old in Dayton, Ohio. And he lived in a neighborhood. How do you shoot in a neighborhood in Dayton, Ohio back in the day? Well, I'll explain that and what my first gun was, and we'll talk about age and all that fun stuff. And my first long gun and what that was, because it was a lot of fun and it was a powerful one too. But I learned a very valuable lesson. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues. We've got Parkland father Ryan Petty with us today, who was doing God's work all day today, teaching young kids how to shoot and do it safely. That's so rewarding. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away. Guys, click that link. Join us at the National Rifle Association, please. Very, very important. We need your help. The other side is going nuts right now. I don't have to tell you that. All you got to do is look at what's going on in L.A. Folks, they want trouble. I have a feeling, Greg and Dallas, we're live on camera and Mike's up during the break. I have a feeling that this weekend is going to be vicious in cities across this country, run by who? Democrats.
Oh yeah. Well, we're not having too much here in Dallas. I am kind of scanning the scanners while I'm at home in the evening times, and I haven't heard too much, but L.A. has been active.
Yeah, the big city around here is, of course, Atlanta, and they had problems yesterday. They're going to have problems this weekend.
Well, and if anybody listening wants to have a little fun, there's an app called the Scanner Radio app that you can listen to emergency services across the nation. And you can hear lots of different cities and stuff going on in those municipalities and those counties.
Yeah, we'll be looking at that. I've got that on the phone as well. Used to get
I
my
didn't know
area
if you
too,
had
but
it.
they don't do it anymore. They didn't trunk their systems. They pulled them off altogether. So I can't get my local fire sheriffs anymore.
Right.
No big deal.
Yeah, I went to the Ham first to see if I could find anything, and didn't really hear anything because Dallas Sheriff's Office used to be on the open air radio, but I think they've moved since 2020 over to trunk system.
Yep, they pulled us out. I guess they don't trust us to listen to what our taxpayer dollars spend. I used to enjoy listening to that. Always fun to listen to the scanners.
It's always interesting. Yep.
Oh, you hear it all, man.
Well,
Tango 7, 211.
it was funny in 2020 during the Floyd riots, Floydapalooza. Someone hopped on the Alpha channel for Dallas Sheriff's Office, and they were playing NWAF the Police. And so you hear the police when they got a break tell them to switch to alternate. And I know the alternate channel as well, so I switched over there. You could hear them just continuing their comms.
Yeah.
The rioters didn't know.
Guys, we'll have cameras back up for you in just a second. Got to do some testing back here. Back at you guys. About 20 seconds. Remember, don't turn the studio air conditioning on during the break. Don't do that. Wouldn't want to be comfortable during the segment.
How dare you?
following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, you can do that. I did. Patriot Mobile phone. If you're watching on your devices, you can do the same thing. patriotmobile.com/AAR and get in on the game. Support the businesses that support you and your lifestyle and support your Second Amendment rights. Representative from Patriot Mobile is scheduled to be here again tomorrow for a half hour. They are all over the country. We love finding out where they're going, what they're up to regarding our Second Amendment rights. Patriot Mobile is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. They are the real deal, and you can find them and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com. During the breaks, I've been pleading with you. If you've not joined the NRA yet, why? Help us. We need your support at the National Rifle Association. Help us, little steps at a time. Let's get back up to 4 million over there. This organization is moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, not backwards. Move forward with us. Join us. And you can do that. Show them that you heard it on Armed American Radio just by visiting nra.org/AAR. You'll see the discounts pop up on the landing page. You'll see our logo up there, the AAR logo, and join them. Get a few bucks off. You can go 1 year, 3 year, 5 year like I did, or you can go up to a life member if that's what you want to do. And maybe you should, if you can, do that. But for crying out loud, help us. Join the National Rifle Association, please. No matter what, this is the largest organization in the country and always will be. We need your support. Join all of the groups that you can, including the Second Amendment Foundation, National Rifle Association, and by golly jeepers, your state organizations. Here in Georgia, it's GA2A, it's Georgia Gun Owners, whichever one floats your boat. Join them all and support your right to keep and bear arms across the country. Welcome back to the 6 Hour Studios. Patriot Mobile mic lit up for you. It's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Parkland father Ryan Petty, welcome back, brother.
Good to be here with you, Mark.
Okay, so my first gun was it was an air rifle that my grandfather had. And I was about 6 years old, and so he lived in a neighborhood. So how do you shoot in a neighborhood? Okay, small neighborhood, typical Ohio, red brick house, that kind of thing. But he had about a 2,000-acre farm behind him, a soybean farm, and he was really good friends with the farmer. And we used to set cans up on the fence post back there. And that's when I started learning how to plink with that CO2 air rifle. And it's really sad, but when my grandfather passed away back in 1987, I really wanted that rifle. And no one in the family knows where it went. But somebody's got to know. But none of us know. Somebody's holding out, I think. But they all knew that I wanted that air rifle. And I didn't get it, and we haven't been able to find it over all these years. Then I graduated to the .22 rifle, and I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was hooked, Ryan. I was hooked. Later on, when I was about 10 years old, my father took me out with a friend of ours, and that's when he put the 12-gauge shotgun in my hand. But before I did anything with it, went through all the safety chats with them, they put a big watermelon out there. They wanted me to see what that gun was capable of doing, and what better than a big watermelon to explode, right? So that was a lot of fun. So I was taught the great respect of the firearm, not just, the air guns, the pellet guns, the .22 rifles, etc. But boy, that shotgun did a number on that watermelon. And that was an eye-opener for me, and I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. And from that point on, Ryan, I was hooked. What was the first gun you ever fired?
Yeah, I think it was my dad's 38 Special, which was quite a gun for me to shoot the first time.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, oh, okay, they do go bang.
Yeah, they do.
Right after that, he had a 12-gauge shotgun that he let me shoot, and he loaded it with some birdshot or something like that, so it wasn't as bad as I had imagined that it might be. But I've the 38 Special. My brother has that, and I have the shotgun that my dad let me shoot. So that was.
Do you happen to have my grandpa's air rifle?
I will look in the closet. I might.
Well, if you do, I want it back.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't have a whole lot of cousins on my dad's side of the family, so one of them's holding out on me. I feel pretty sure. But
yeah, they're family treasures. I've got my father's or my grandfather's rifle he brought back from World War I, which I will. I'll never let go of that thing. Just so meaningful.
And see, guns are a lot more than just
me.
Guns in self-defense, aren't they? They're family heirlooms.
absolutely.
There's history
you
to
know,
'em.
it's a connection to my grandfather who I, obviously got to know. But by the time, my father was 40 when I was born. My grandfather was very old. It was hard. He was hard of hearing. I never really got to have a long conversation with him. I certainly got to know him and got to talk with him, but I feel that connection to my grandfather and now a bit of a connection to my father by those firearms that have been passed down to my family. So absolutely, they are so much more than just
Yeah.
tools used for self-defense or for sporting or for fun.
Yeah, it's interesting because, and guys, we reminisce about this stuff. You probably have stories like this too in your family, no doubt. But I go back when I was in college. I would drive up to Ohio to see my grandparents as they were getting older, and my grandpa was a really fun guy. But you remember the lawn chairs that had I don't even know how to describe them anymore, but they were the straps, the vinyl straps, the green straps. You unfolded the things, right, and sat in those lawn chairs. You know what I'm talking about with the straight straps that just went across them? The old lawn chairs. They don't make them things anymore.
Oh,
You remember?
yeah.
They would fray on the edges when they got all beat up. But my grandpa and I, we would, and he was a hoot, man. We would go out in the back and shoot. We were done. We would fire up the grill, okay? And that's where I learned how to charcoal grill, was with my grandfather. And we would grill chicken wings. And then we would sit in the garage. He'd pull the car out of the garage. My grandpa and I would sit in the garage. And he would, this was back in the day, if you remember, Coors beer. Remember, you couldn't get Coors beer east of the Rockies. And everybody wanted Coors beer. You couldn't get it east of the Rockies. It was like really special back in the day. And my grandpa used to have back there a tool thing set up. He was the guy that put the what do you call it, the little ping pong ball on the string, right? So when you pulled in, you knew when to stop the car because it would hit your windshield. That was my grandpa. So we would go out there and shoot, then grill chicken wings, and we would sit in the garage and smoke Winston's and drink Coors beer. And every time he cracked a Coors beer, he had a big row of ice-cold frozen little glasses, like 8-ounce juice glasses in his freezer. He'd pour a beer in there. Every time he poured one, he'd hold it up. He goes, "You see that? That's Coors beer. That's non-pasteurized beer. That's real pure beer right there. That's a Coors. That's special beer. You enjoy that one, son." So we'd sit there and drink Coors beer after we spent a day shooting and eating chicken wings. And we'd just sit there and smoke Winston's and drink beer. That was back in the day. Man, I miss those days, It was a lot of fun. That's why when you look at the rifles that he had, I never did get any of them. But, somebody in my family will come clean at some point, hopefully. But anyway, I'd still love to have that. But yeah, it's the memories, right, of all this. It's the family history of these guns. And some of you in your family have some guns that are worth a lot of money, no question about it. But I hope you enjoyed days like that when you were growing up, because these are the things you remember as you get older and you try to pass them on to your kids. Shooting is a wonderful activity. And when when your kids are old enough to learn how. Only you know how. Only you know when they're mature enough, Ryan. But do it the right way. And I'll let you take the final word on that one, and then we'll move on. Oh, yep, their final word. You'll get the final word when we come back from the break. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense continues at 4 minutes from now on the flip side of this break. We're having some fun on a garbage day with Ryan Petty. We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away. I'm going to leave that NRA thing up. If you're watching on your devices, click. Join us, please. See you on the flip side of this break. Back in 20, guys. Don't put the AC on again. Forget to do that again.
Yeah.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is proudly being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Help us defend freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. 6 Hour Studios fired up for you. Mark Walters in front of the Patriot Mobile mic. It's all brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Please join us over there. We're hitting that hard, and we're going to continue to do so. We need your help, particularly if you live behind the blue wall. You know, North Carolina, we're going to talk about North Carolina, too, in just a minute. Even in the red states, guys, North Carolina, Democrat governor, Democrat. Okay, you got a couple squishy Republicans in North Carolina, too, that could use some push from the National Rifle Association's Institute for Legislative Action. That's how this works. But we need your membership to do it. Again, it's $35. Make sure to visit them and join them at nra.org/AAR, nra.org/AAR. You can visit the website, armedamericanradio.com or .org, and just click the link. It'll take you right there. Or if you're watching on your device, you can look right here and click that link. It is live while we're on the social media platforms for you during the day. So we'll go ahead and leave that up today as we give a big push for the National Rifle Association. Guys, are you a gun manufacturer? Are you a gun dealer? Are you a trainer? Do you own a range? Any of that fun stuff? X Insurance has a policy for you. Make sure to check them out, xinsurance.com. If you're foolish enough to jump out of airplanes or own planes that people jump out of, you do a lot of crazy stuff, whitewater rafting, boat, any of that stuff. Race boats like they do, X Insurance has you covered. Make sure to check them out as well. And you can find all of our great partners, all of them, at armedamericanradio.com. Ryan Petty, welcome back, brother.
With you today.
Always a pleasure, man. So let's talk a little bit about, we'll go to North Carolina in the next segment. I want to talk with you about Austria. Now, sadly, you know far too much about school shootings in America, and we're always told this is unique to America, this only happens in America. There's now 10 dead. The number went from 9 to 10 overnight last night. But this happened in Austria, and really, the mainstream media won't talk about it. We'll talk about it, because the bottom line is everything the gun grabbers want failed yet again in Austria, where they've got very strict gun control. Everything they want for us here, and a lot of the blue states have what Austria has, registration, waiting periods, all the nonsense. And it didn't stop a thing, Ryan. Because why?
Well, look, Mark, you'll know back in April, I wrote a piece for the Federalist,
yeah,
where I talked about this specific issue just after the school shooting at Florida State. So, you know, one of the favorite things for the gun control activists to talk about is that this is, you know, gun violence is a uniquely American problem. They typically phrase it that way, and nothing could be further from the truth. I pointed to several recent examples, from around the globe. There was a shooting in Sweden earlier this year. Mm-hmm. There was one in Finland, not too long before that, and of course we have the unfortunate shooting in Austria today. And as I always say, I preface my comments by saying my heart goes out to those families and the victims. But the point is that Europe has taken the gun control path that all of the gun control activists in the United States envy. Like, Europe is the envy of these gun control activists in the United States. And they tell us frequently that not only does it not only happen in America, if we just did what Europe does, right? If we just had more strict gun control, this stuff wouldn't happen. And I pointed to, in a tweet thread today, I pointed to 40 recent acts of gun violence in Europe. Of course, you can read through my article on recent gun violence, including school attacks in Europe. And of course, we have another example yesterday in Austria, a country that has very, very strict gun control laws. The problem, Mark, is you and I have discussed a number of times, the root cause of this is not access to firearms. The root cause of this is evil, and the subsequent sort of like, how does this happen? The proximate causes are the fact that, many of these countries, particularly educational institutions, are always gun-free zones, regardless of the country, and they take the posture that this can't happen here, and so they can't imagine violence happening at the school, so they do nothing to prepare for it. And fortunately, as we've also discussed a number of times, many schools across the United States are waking up and taking a different approach. You and I have talked extensively about what we're doing in Florida. Our schools are not gun-free zones. Our schools have lots of guns in them. And if somebody decides to attack a school in Florida, they're going to be met with swift, lethal violence. And that, my friend, is a deterrent, as you and I both know.
But it wasn't at Florida State.
Yeah, no, this one happened in Europe, Mark. Can you believe that?
No. I'm gonna let me go to Florida State for a minute. You're talking about if they're met with guns in Florida, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Florida State, they're not met with guns
Well,
like they are in high schools now. Am I correct about that?
no, you are correct. So you brought up a good point. So here's the difference. When I'm talking about schools in Florida, particularly, I'm talking specifically about our K through 12 institutions.
Right.
Our state colleges and universities are a different thing. Now, there was an armed response. It was very good, but it was delayed by several minutes. And I can't help but think that many of those students at FSU who were, certainly old enough to go to university, are old enough to carry a firearm and should have the right to defend themselves. And currently, in Florida state law, these campuses are gun-free zones. So the only person carrying a gun is a perpetrator and law enforcement. So we need to get that changed in Florida so that we can protect our universities. But yeah, your point is a good one. We are not protecting our universities, and I hate to say that out loud, but we are not protecting our universities the same way we protect our K through 12 institutions.
Yeah, that's got to change. And one of the things about universities, let's be fair here and accurate. Sometimes, in many cases, it's hard to tell what's campus and what's not campus. Okay, you've got off-campus housing that might be actually on campus. You have dorms that might be, somewhat removed from the actual classroom buildings themselves. These are huge places, many of them. And Florida State is a big one, let's be real. But so it's hard to tell sometimes on a campus where the campus begins and ends. So if you are in a gun-free zone it's easy to tell if you're in a high school, right? Parkland was a big school, is a big school. What was it, 7-acre campus or something like that, right?
Well, yeah, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was over a 40-acre campus, and you're right.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's big.
The problem with these state colleges and universities around the country, as you're pointing out, Mark, is it's hard to know where they start and stop. You're certainly not going to put a fence around FSU. So the threat model is different at a university than it is at a K through 12 institution. But many of the solutions that we're using in K through 12 could be implemented at the university. The other advantage that a university has is you've got adults that should have the right to keep and bear arms on campus and defend themselves. When seconds matter, having somebody that's armed that can stop a deadly threat quickly and not wait for responding law enforcement will absolutely save lives. And we've got to change the law around the country at our universities.
We have that here in the state of Georgia. Can't keep a gun or can't have a gun in the dorms. You can have them elsewhere on campus, which to me is mind-boggling. If you can be trusted with your firearm to maneuver yourself around campus, in and out of various buildings, to sit down to eat, classroom, etc., what is it about the dorm? Well, they always default back to college students are drunk partiers. What does that say about all college? Not all college students are drunk partiers, okay? Now, we had guns all over my school at Radford University. We used to go shooting and hunting on the weekends during season, sometimes not during season, I'll admit that, okay? But and we like to do what college kids like to do back in the day as well. We never had a problem. There was never an issue, not one time ever, ladies and gentlemen, not one time ever. Did it even come up? I don't even remember it being discussed ever. Good heavens. I don't know. It's a debate that will go on forever, but one thing is for certain. You should be able to carry your firearm as an adult anywhere you choose to go, period, as a free man or woman. It's that simple. Anything else is an infringement and a violation of your rights. We'll be back. Up. AC is on, by the way. Finally.
Lightning with the yellow
Lightning
hair.
with the yellow hair. There you go.
I was thinking that, but wasn't 100%.
The following segment of Armed American Radio is being brought to you by AttorneysOnRetainer.com. AttorneysOnRetainer.com. Visit them today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show, guys. Some things are a no-brainer, okay? Being a member of the NRA is a no-brainer. Attorneys on retainer, absolute no-brainer. If you carry a firearm, no-brainer. You're already anticipating that one day you might have to defend yourself. That's what your firearm is for. What are you going to do if you get charged? Now you're really defending yourself. Attorneys on Retainer solves that problem for you instantly. It's as simple as visiting attorneysonretainer.us or just going right to our website, Attorneys on Retainer. You click the link. It takes you there. Use the AAR promo code. Get $50 off your sign-up fee. It's 35 bones a month. 35 bucks a month for full legal protection in the event you have to use a firearm and you get charged. You have an attorney on retainer, literally, as the name says, immediately full attorney-client privilege the moment you sign up. It is a no-brainer. Make sure to do that. Have an attorney in your hip pocket. You've already got a firearm. You already anticipate the possibility you may have to defend yourself against an attacker. Make sure you can defend yourself against an overzealous prosecutor. God forbid the worst day of your life happens. It's that simple. Just do it. It is 35 bucks a month for an individual plan. It is 25 bucks a head for a family, and you get 50 bucks off by using the AAR promo code off that sign-up fee. Ladies and gentlemen, if you carry a gun, please, please have legal defense. It's so easy to do now. That's all the firm focuses on is self-defense law in all 50 states. No additional fees, nothing. If you need expert witnesses that come up to over 50 grand, it's all covered for 35 bucks a month. No matter what they do, no matter what they have to do to defend you, there is no additional cost, period. It is, again, a slap in the face, no-brainer. Attorneysonretainer.us. Use the promo code AAR. Get 50 bucks off your sign-up, 35 bucks individual, 25 for family members. That's what I have, all four of us. So it costs me 100 bucks a month. Every single person in my family carrying a gun has an attorney on retainer immediately, and they know exactly what to do. God forbid they have to defend themselves. I want to talk to my attorney, period. And they have an attorney. It's that simple. You are protected instantly. No brainer, okay? Take advantage of that tremendous opportunity. Be protected. Ryan Petty, welcome back, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing great on this garbage day. When you mentioned it was garbage day, I thought we were going to talk about Los Angeles, but we haven't gone there.
We are. We're going there. Last final segment. We saved the best for last, okay? I want to talk briefly about North Carolina because there are some Republicans in North Carolina that are doing their level best to stop constitutional carry. Now, there were 2 GOP reps that are trying to block constitutional carry in North Carolina. They failed. It's Senate Bill 50, which would make North Carolina the 30th constitutional carry state. It passed the North Carolina Senate on June 3rd by a vote of 26-18 and was heading to the House. Now, WARL over in North Carolina reported that SB 50 passed out of the House Rules Committee on June 10th, but without the support of Davis and Bryson, both of whom sided with Democrats to oppose it. Why do you think? And see, this is what baffles me, Ryan. Why can't the Republicans stick together, particularly on an issue like this?
You know, the folks that can't muster the courage to do the right thing, I think they just, quite frankly, they're thinking about themselves and getting, and some pundit, or not pundit, but some consultant has told them if they vote a certain way, they're going to lose their election. And so they get weak knees. They love the power. They love the all the perks that come with the office.
Just answer the question.
And so they do the thing that's easiest, right? Mm-hmm. And so well, I'm not going to get punished for this, so I'm going to do whatever, right? Whatever gets me reelected.
So they're looking at their own political future and not the best interest of their constituents. You just nailed it. That's it.
Yep.
Simple as
That's what happens.
Let's go to California, which is going to spread across the country and already has. There were some problems in the city of Atlanta yesterday. There are going to be bigger problems across the country. Now, I like the way the media phrases this stuff, that this movement is sweeping across the country. It's not sweeping across the country, that like a big wave that has swept the nation. It's not. It's a pocket full of Democrat-run cities, and it's well-funded, it's well-orchestrated, and it's well-organized. You know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see ABC or NBC so we can CBS or MSDNC and CNN, LOL, and even Fox News in this case, start asking questions of the person start doing some investigative journalism work here, right? Like Lee Williams, the gun writer. I'd love to see him on this, but he doesn't have the resources and the time to do it. like ABC and NBC, so we can CBS and MSD and CNCN and LOL do. At least they have money. Wouldn't you love to start finding out? Let's find that. Let's start with the box of pre-printed signs and follow where they came from, because they're being printed somewhere by people who are paying to print them. Talk to those people and follow the money. Find out where this is coming from. But they won't do it because they love watching it. So I would love to see that happen, first of all. But this is orchestrated stuff. This was the ends. This was what the Biden administration had in mind, opening up the floodgates and allowing third world scumbag felons into this country. This is what they had in mind, Ryan. And you stop me if I'm wrong.
No, the greater plan was to bring folks in that obviously could vote and create a permanent Democratic administration at the federal level. That was part of the plan. But part of the plan to get there was to bring in folks, like you mentioned, that are criminals, gang members, terrorists, violent. So the whole purpose of these riots, and let's be honest, these are not peaceful protests. These are not people that are out trying to defend a political idea. These are folks that are out looting, stealing, burning, and quite frankly, assaulting both local and federal law enforcement agents. And the important point you just made is this is funded. And one of the entities, Mark, we know this because we've got some folks like Lee Williams, but others, independent journalists that are on X and other places that are getting this information out and quite frankly running circles around the acronym clown show that you just rattled off a couple of times. But the American Federation of Teachers is one of the groups that is really funding. They're funding and organizing these violent protests, and they've got something coming up on the 14th of June, Mark. Everybody needs to know that this is not organic. These are not Americans rising up. These are paid protesters. And if you can believe it, the teachers union, the National Teachers Union, is one of the groups funding the violence in California and across the country.
Is that Randy Weingarten?
That is Randy Weingarten. Yes, sir.
What a dirtbag. What an absolute dirtbag-ette she is. Ryan Petty, unbelievable stuff as always. Thank you for being here, brother. I do appreciate it very much. I know you had a long, hot day on the range, and then the big Florida thunderstorms kick in because, well, it's that time of year. Ryan Petty, Parkland father, sadly knows far too much about this than we wish he knew. Guys, make sure to tune in every single weekend in the roundtable to hear Ryan Petty in the third hour of the broadcast. He is a regular who has taken over for our former regular, Neil McCabe, who is doing God's work in parts unknown that I can't tell you about, nor can he. But trust me when I tell you, he's working on your behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, please visit all of our partners. You can find them all at armedamericanradio.com. Join Attorneys on Retainer. Attorneys on Retainer. It's real simple to do. AAR promo code. Please join the National Rifle Association if you haven't already. Rejoin if that's what you need to do. We're going to get up and do it again tomorrow precisely because they don't want us talking about it. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters. Presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
All right, guys, thanks for being here today. Again, the plea goes out. Support our partners. Critical to our mission moving forward for another 17 years. We cannot do it without you. We have great partners. Make sure to visit them all. You can find all of them at armedamericanradio.com, armedamericanradio.com. Guys, stay safe. Enjoy your day. This is not the weekend to say, honey, let's go into the city and get some dinner. Stay home. Grill something. You'll be a lot safer. Don't put yourself in a bad spot because these lunatics are likely going to be out in a Democrat-run city near you. Until we meet on the radio tomorrow, carry on, carry often, carry absolutely everywhere. Never, ever, ever leave your cave without your club. No self-respecting caveman would have ever been caught outside his cave without his club. Enjoy your day. Stay safe. See you on the radio tomorrow, guys. Thanks for tuning in.